Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Megan. I am a former nurse that's still licensed, just not practicing currently. And my husband Tommy and I and our niece Kaylin, along with our 3 dogs and cat, live in Ohio. And we are on this YouTube journey kind of together, and I am loving it. And I want to take you along with me. Today we are talking about the carnivore diet while taking Ozempic, the pros and cons, and if I would even recommend it. So let's get into that video. If you're watching this video and haven't subscribed yet, please do me a huge favor and hit that red subscribe button along with the bell notification button so that you don't miss any future videos like that. It helps out the YouTube algorithm, pushing this video out to more viewers just like you. Thank you so much. Now, to give you a little bit of backstory, in January of this year, I started Ozempic because my insulin level was way too high. I have insulin resistance, which means that my body doesn't use insulin correctly. This was as a first-line defense. My body wasn't feeling great. I wasn't feeling great. I had no energy. My weight was creeping up. It was bad. Hair was falling out, just all kinds of complications. Skin tags had started popping up, the dark patches on my skin as a sign of sugar issues, just all around just feeling of unwell from too high of insulin, things like that. So the doctor and I agreed to put me back on Ozempic. I had been on it previously, went off of it when I went on keto originally a few years ago. So we decided that, fine, we'll go back on Ozempic. The plan was for me to go back into keto and taper off of Ozempic because I had found so much success. The doctor said to use it as a tool since it had worked well for me previously. So that's exactly what we started doing. And initially, as I started into the Ozempic, I noticed a lot more side effects this time than I did previously. A lot more nausea, what we call egg burps. So if you eat too much sugar or carbohydrates or just too much in general, you get these like sulfur tasting burps, and it's not pleasant and it's difficult to deal with. You've got to kind of relearn how much you can eat, and that started pretty well from the beginning. And so I was kind of navigating that. I figured that out pretty quickly because I was documenting pretty regularly, so I knew what I could have. Then as time went on, I was still kind of eating semi-low carb. I wasn't going full keto yet because I noticed that when I was eating too high of fat, the nausea would creep up, and I was still just kind of waiting it out because I just wanted to see how I felt, see how much weight I lost, give the Ozempic a chance to work before I started keto because that's what I had done previously. So I wanted to give it a few months before I started fully diving into keto to give it a fair shot. So after my birthday in April, we had tapered up my medication to a 1 milligram dose, which is the next step up, and my appetite had now significantly decreased. At this point, I was able to eat maximum of about 3 to 4 ounces of food per meal. And if I ate past that, or if I ate too much over the span of a day, it would make me very, very nauseous and then lead to me vomiting and diarrhea, the whole 9 yards. And so it would make me very physically ill. So we were kind of concerned with that, so we decided to start prioritizing eating a carnivore style diet. So we had been weighing back and forth between keto or carnivore, and we decided to go carnivore because as little as I was able to eat, Protein was going to be the priority, and I also struggle with a few food allergies. I have PCOS, so polycystic ovarian syndrome, so that needed some healing. I deal with some gut issues, so I'm thinking that I have leaky gut, which is a whole nother ball of wax. So we decided to go carnivore to try to help heal some of those issues and prioritize protein and focus on just overall healing. And so we started down that path. Well, I was noticing as we were doing that, a few weeks into carnivore, I was feeling great. I was losing weight. Even with just Ozempic, I was losing weight. But once I started carnivore, I really felt like things were picking up. And then about 2.5, 3 weeks into carnivore, my weight loss just completely hit this wall, like it froze. And I started feeling just really awful. I woke up with this headache one morning, which is unusual for me because as a chronic migraine sufferer, I'm on a preventative migraine medication. And so all of my headaches had gone away. So I took my sugar and it was 70, which is very low for me. And so we quickly figured out that I was experiencing very low sugars. Over the course of the next week and a half, prior to my next doctor's appointment that had already been scheduled for several weeks, over the next week and a half, we were taking my sugars pretty regularly, and I was noticing they were staying in the mid to low 60s, which is really dangerously low. And so Tommy and I talked it over pretty heavily, and I decided that for me, I needed to taper back my Ozempic dose to the 0.5 milligram pen versus the 1, so that I would have enough appetite to consume enough food so that my sugar wouldn't drop as much, because I had also been documenting how much I was eating, and even though I was eating a carnivore diet, eating ribeye steak with butter on it and high fat cuts of meat and lots of fat and protein intake, with the limited amounts that I was able to intake, I was still only able to eat between 550 and 650 calories, and that is not nearly enough to sustain weight loss or muscle or hormone levels or things like that. And so that was starting to get really dangerous for me. And my doctor agreed, so we cut that back. And once I did that, and I've taken 2 of the reduced level of the Ozempic shots since, my appetite is starting to come back up. My weight loss has started to pick back up again. I'm starting to feel better again. I have energy, brain fog is gone, different things like that. So that has made a huge difference. Now that we're caught up to kind of where we are now, let's talk about the pros of doing both carnivore with Ozempic. It does control your appetite. So in the beginning, when I was transitioning onto carnivore, it helped so much having that appetite suppressant, not thinking about, oh man, I'm missing out on fries or potatoes or this or that or the other thing. It really helped me feel full right from the beginning. Yes, protein and meat is very satiating, but it helped, as weird as this sounds, my brain space not have the anxiety of when's my next meal, or I'm not going to be eating enough, or is this really what I'm supposed to be eating? I need to eat more. Something's missing. So that really helped in the beginning. Number 2, it helped with my insulin and glucose balance. It helped with pushing my insulin into my muscles and helping keep my glucose levels at more of an even level. the Ozempic did. And so I wasn't getting these crazy like hangry sensations in between meals and things like that while I was transitioning on to carnivore. And so that was kind of a nice experience as I was beginning the carnivore diet. It's kind of also a con because, like I said, it also ended up causing my glucose levels to drop too far and prevented me from being able to counterbalance that and eat enough to keep my glucose levels high enough to function and continue weight loss. And then another big pro for me was that it helped reduce cravings. So the appetite suppressant portion of it also reduced my cravings for things like sugar, pasta. I'm a huge pasta fanatic, and I don't crave it. And in fact, I actually crave things like steak and fish and chicken and things like that. And so the Ozempic helped me not deal with those cravings, and still is helping me deal with not having those cravings. And I think it's part of the appetite suppressant hormones that are part of the Ozempic shot. Now for the cons. It slows digestion. So that's part of the mechanism, and how it makes you feel full is that it slows your digestion down. And that's a good and a bad thing. So yes, it helps with making you feel full longer. But if I eat too much over the course of a day, it makes me sick. If I try to push it to try to get enough calories because I need those calories, I can't physically make my body digest fast enough to be able to get in some more calories so that my body can function correctly. And I also dealt with a lot of indigestion, heartburn, like I was talking about earlier, the egg burps, sulfur burps, that type of thing was happening a lot. If something doesn't sit well with your stomach, it comes back up very quickly, things like that. So that's kind of a little bit of a con. I didn't like that aspect of the Ozempic shot. And that on top of carnivore, it really became frustrating because when you're limited to only a certain grouping of food and you're trying to eat enough, and then your body is not sitting well with that, and you're not able to eat anymore, and your body's rejecting that, it's really hard to mentally wrap your head around that. My second con kind of is an offshoot of one of the pros, and that is having too little of an appetite. The appetite suppressors are a pro, but they are also a con. So once I hit that dose level that was too high for me, having too little of an appetite meant that I could not consume enough calories. Carnivore diet needs to be able to consume enough protein that you're not muscle wasting, that you're not starving, because when your body goes into starvation mode, your metabolism shuts down, your weight loss stops, your healing stops, you have no energy, it wrecks your body. So I didn't like that I didn't have enough of an appetite. I'm just now getting to where I'm okay with my appetite. I still don't feel like I have enough of an appetite even now. And that's on half the dose I was on. So I've already started talking with my doctor about potentially reducing my dose again, because while my sugars have balanced out, I need to be able to consume a little bit more. Not necessarily because I'm hungry, or need to be hungry, but because I need the calorie and macro intake to meet my goals, both weight loss and healing, and I'm wanting to work out and build muscle, so that's all kind of part of the big overall puzzle. Another con, the nausea and vomiting. So carnivore is very high in fat. And when you are on a high-fat diet and you have this shot that is making you nauseous, it is really hard to want to eat when you've got this fat going on and it's like an oil slick in your mouth, and it's hard to stomach it. And then you just hit this wall and your body just wants to vomit everything back up. I had to switch from fried eggs for this reason to boiled eggs. Different things like that, because textures trigger your body in weird ways, things like that. So I'm just still navigating how to eat while still experiencing some nausea with the Ozempic. One of the things that I did was I added in pickles, even though they're not technically clean carnivore. I added them back in. The vinegar helps settle my stomach. It also is a fermented food which helps heal the gut lining, and it helps with leaky gut. And I have found that they help me feel better. And they help me with my appetite a little bit. So I've added those in, and that's helped with that. But it still happens. And so I'm hoping that eventually, as I wean off of Ozempic, that goes away. Because since I've never done carnivore without Ozempic, I don't know if that's from carnivore or from Ozempic or from both. So it's kind of a navigation thing as we go along. And then my biggest con, and last but not least, is low sugar. The Ozempic is meant to lower your sugar, but so is carnivore. You are going from a sugar-based diet to a fat-based diet, and so you're going from burning sugar for energy to burning fat and ketones for energy. And so your body is adjusting, and it led to really low sugar for me, and that is not a fun thing to experience. And so it was really hard to navigate. I'm thankful for my medical background, and knowing kind of what I was experiencing, and having my glucometer and being able to know kind of how to react to that, and having confidence to reach out to my doctor and explain what was going on, and knowing what was going on, so that I could get the help that I needed before it got any lower than it actually was. Now, the big question: would I recommend doing the carnivore diet with Ozempic? No. I would recommend, if you can at all avoid doing them together, I would. I would recommend, if you can avoid going on Ozempic, to do it. Avoid it. Because, number one, it is very hard to get. I can't tell you how many times it's been out of stock. Everybody and their mom seems to be on it. And that's been really difficult. You can't always get it. The other big thing is that there are a lot of side effects, unknown side effects. You don't know what long-term damage it does to your body, your pancreas. There are some pretty stiff warnings about thyroid cancers and different things that are on that. And while it's a nice tool, and I've seen some benefit personally from it, if you can figure out how to go carnivore or keto or lose weight and get your sugar under control without that, I heavily encourage you to do that. Food is our first line of defense. I recommend anybody to try to do what they can with food first prior to medication. I know that's not always an option for everybody. That's part of bioindividuality. Do what you can. But if you can avoid having to take a shot a week, that would be best case scenario, because the reality is that when you go back off of Ozempic, the weight gain is statistical inevitability is what they've said. I'm hoping to avoid that by staying carnivore. Things like that. These side effects that I'm experiencing are not a pleasure. There's many others that I don't experience, but I don't want to get to the point that I experience them. I don't want to be on this medication long term. My goal with my doctor's help is to be off this medication by the end of July, because I'm wanting to be able to eat the amounts that I'm needing to hit the goals that I'm wanting to hit. My weight loss is at a great point right now, but I'm really wanting to challenge myself to be able to continue my weight loss and making carnivore a lifestyle. I am fully enjoying the carnivore lifestyle, and I don't think I need the Ozempic as the tool that it is. And I wish that I would have tried carnivore prior to starting Ozempic back in January to see if I could have been successful back then without Ozempic. But they say hindsight's 20/20, and here we are. I wanted to kind of give you my thoughts. I've not seen a lot of people talking about kind of combining the two. Yes, I've had some successes, but there have been some setbacks too. And again, I would not recommend it. And I wouldn't do anything without the guidance of your medical professional. Don't get your medical advice from YouTube or TikTok or any other social media. These are just kind of my opinions, and that's all based on my experience. But that's all I have for you today. I will see you on Friday for another video. I think we're going to be doing a recipe, so I will see you then. Bye!